Rundown with Desmond Johnson.
Like to have everybody's attention for a moment.
There's a stat. I don't like bringing up stats, but there's one stat about the Panthers.
He's in the world is James Harden better scorer than Michael Jordan?
No, he's more creative in that.
Traveling is not creative, Brandon.
He doesn't.
No matter what the score is, and they've said it themselves, whether they're up 10, down 20, whatever, they know they can turn it on whenever.
Why did you have to bring up the Cowboys in this conversation?
Lived in Texas for 2 years and just could not stand to watch Cowboys football.
All right, listen up.
Welcome to The Rundown. Here's Desmond Johnson.
And we are here, and we are live. It is Saturday. Welcome to The Rundown. I'm your host, Desmond Johnson, joined by the cast of usuals, Rod Funderburk, Brandon Blakeney in the house, live from Zesto's Burgers and Ice Cream. We are out in public doing our thing like we normally do on a Saturday, 2600 New Walkertown Road in Winston-Salem. Come check them out for lunch today. They got ribs on deck. They got steak sandwiches, wings, all kinds of stuff in here. And they've got plenty of toilet paper. My man told me, Algernon Cash, the owner, when we first walked in this morning, that the least of their concerns is running out of toilet paper. They got plenty over here, so come over here and check them out. Fellas, man, wild week from where we were a week ago in here doing a supersized rundown. Today's only been a 1 hour long rundown, but we've come a long way since our last episode here. General thoughts on what has happened to the world, the sports world in particular, in the 6 days since the last time we saw each other.
Well, good morning, Des. Good morning, Triad. It's a beautiful day. And, Des, you made a comment when we first started, and I'm not sure what to make of it. Hopefully it was nothing, but your comment was, we are out in public. And I was like, are we not supposed to be out in public, Des? Is it dangerous? Is it a death sentence that we're out in public?
It depends on who you talk to, I guess, because I was out a bunch last night working another job, and people are still out, man. People are still eating. People are out in restaurants. They're out walking around enjoying life, and they should. I think that people are thinking that there's this because people are talking about it, that means they're panicking about it. And that's not the case at all. It's just that everybody has access to talk to everybody else, and people want to talk about it. They want to find out, how serious is it? Do you have it? How do I get tested? This kind of thing. And
yeah, definitely. And Des, I'll be honest with you, man. I think people are just wanting as well as needing to be cautious. You have family that you want to protect from you if they need to be protected from you. We all have parents. I hope we all have parents. I know some parents have gone on. But, we have parents that are still here that we want to protect. We have small children, young, who we want to protect. And I think it's just a matter of being cautious, knowing exactly what we're dealing with and knowing how to press forward. But at the same time, be smart. Continue to use water and soap, at least 20 seconds of washing your hands real good after you touch something, before you leave, after you use the bathroom. All that kind of good stuff, and just be clean. I think if we can just be a little more cleaner than what we have been, hopefully we'll be okay. But as far as the sports world goes, man, I have never seen, nor have I ever anticipated that all of sports, except for the one UFC fight that's going to be shown this weekend, would be shut down all at one time.
I'm thinking they aren't going to do that either eventually. Now, Brandon, you actually work in a sports department over at WXII, and explain to me what's happening over there behind the scenes, or just in general, when you go from having the NBA's in full swing, NASCAR's in full swing, the Players Championship was going on in golf, Major League Baseball was about to start.
Yeah.
ACC tournament was
ACC
just
tournament
in
was in
town.
the middle of it, and March Madness
right in the
Selection
middle.
Sunday should be tomorrow. So what did you guys? What happened?
Man, honestly, you would think it was like the episode of SpongeBob where it's like the meltdown. They're all running around like going crazy. It's not that bad, but it did come to one point though where everybody's usually like around watching the game, hanging out, and I was just sitting around kind of watching, and I noticed that everybody was kind of rooting, but it was the Food Channel on. And that's when I knew we were all lost.
Wow.
That's when I knew
The
it was
Food
over.
Channel, yo.
The Food Channel. People were getting hyped for the Food Channel. But other than Bowman Gray and feature stories, man, there's really not much going on.
And I did want to mention that because Sports Color Monthly was going to have exclusive coverage of Bowman Gray racing this season. We still do have a lot of big plans in terms of there's not that many media outlets that are going to be able to devote as much coverage to Bowman Gray that we were going to do. We have, of course, Cody Hecox is back as a beat writer. He'll be writing weekly stories each week and having interviews with drivers. The Tried Racing podcast with Randy Pettit, we were going to start season 2. I want to say right around the beginning of April. The season starts April 18th. And I didn't get a chance to announce it last week because we were trying to wait, but I guess there's no reason to wait now. We had just landed exclusive interviews with NASCAR drivers that were going to be in that podcast.
Nice.
So we had a lot of big things planned, and I haven't spoken to Lauren Phoenix over at Bowman Gray to see if there's any changes with the schedule. As it stands right now, Bowman Gray Racing is scheduled to start as normal.
The Madhouse is rocking.
Yeah. Now we'll see because you can fit 20,000 or 19,000 people in Bowman Gray, and if there's nothing going on for weeks, they're going to be overflow in terms of traffic by the time we get there. It just depends on what happens between now and then. But as it stands right now, they're still on to start on time April 18th.
It's a good time out there, man. We were talking about that at the station as well. I mean, that's pretty much the only thing going on. I was wondering about the XFL till they finally came out and made their statement as well.
I thought that in my head I had this picture of Vince McMahon going, "Now's our chance. Everything's off. We'll be the only ones. We'll take the risk.
Did
We'll
you
do
see
it."
last night? SmackDown was on last night with no fans in the arena.
Somebody messaged me and was like, "Are you watching SmackDown?" I'm like, "No, I just got home." And they're like, "They're doing it without fans. It's just weird.
Yeah.
Like they should just cut the whole thing." And I never got a chance to flip over. I might check it out on the Fox app today just to see what it looked like. But I didn't want to see the ACC tournament without fans or March Madness without fans. To be real honest, I just didn't want to. People were like, "How are the players going to react to it?" I'm like, the players are the least of my concern because they've been playing pickup ball and whatever their whole lives without fans. Like they can go out there and play basketball without fans.
Yeah, they practice without them too.
Right, yeah. So that wouldn't have been a big deal. But the experience for us, like to see, like there wouldn't have been underdogs. You know what I mean?
No.
Like there wouldn't have been like huge comebacks and stuff like that because there would have been no fans cheering them on. And especially when you go to like in March Madness with the pod system, you would have had like a Duke and I don't know if say NC State actually had made it because they were on the bubble, they probably would have been in the same pod. They probably would have been in Greensboro. So you would have had NC State fans lingering around cheering against the team that was playing against Duke and vice versa. And you kind of get these dynamics you can't get anywhere else. And I told my wife yesterday because she thought she was being funny. She sent me this video on Facebook Messenger that was like there was a bunch of guys sitting around watching bowling or something. They're like, "This is what ESPN's about to turn into."
Yeah.
And the guy rolls a strike, and like 6 dudes jump up, and they're like, "Yeah!" and they're giving high fives and stuff.
Yeah,
And
I saw that.
and she was like, "Did you think it was funny?" I was like, "Actually, when I first opened it, it made me really sad. Like I didn't want to talk to you for about an hour. Like it kind of reminded me of everything that's gone. Like it just
Everything.
So let's run this down. So NBA, they're on a suspension. They're not done for the season. Hopefully not. Adam Silver, the commissioner, was actually asked if the season could be canceled. He didn't rule it out, but they are trying to, put a hold on things and then come back and try to finish this out. Here's Adam Silver.
Adam, is it possible that the season will not continue?
Of course it's possible. I just don't know more at this point. I mean, there's another factor that may go to the seasonality of this virus. Again, I've talked to a lot of experts. It's a little clear. Some have a theory that it's just as with the common flu, as the weather changes, we may see it begin to peter out a little bit. I mean, again, we don't know. So, at this point, we're just waiting.
So that was NBA Commissioner Adam Silver, and I think that's the main point, fellas. That we don't have an idea of how long we're supposed to wait for.
Yeah.
And that's where the scary part's in for a lot of people, because we really don't know how long this could last. They're hoping 30 days, 45 days or whatever. But what if it goes longer than that? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
There's some anxiety setting in, but I do think one positive note that I noticed was that China actually welcomed back the American players that are playing overseas over there. They're back in China right now. So if they're opening their games and having league play, I think that the NBA may have a chance to come back a little sooner than we think.
Yeah, but China started their whole quarantine process so much earlier.
Yeah.
But
than
that was
anyone
also
else.
where it originated, though, and it was the
True.
worst there. It
Well-
hasn't gotten as bad in America as it is currently there in China right now.
Well, I tell you what, we were told that it started in China. I'll be honest with you, I'm not in politics and big government, but I'm sometimes the least leery of some of the things that they say, because there are other news outlets that are reporting that China is saying that this whole thing came from the U.S. military.
Uh-oh.
You know what I mean? So that's a whole nother set of worms. So
Nobody
we,
wants to
we
take
don't
the
know.
blame.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
So, we don't really know what's going on, but we do know that they started the whole quarantine process much earlier than what we've started, as far as, turning attention to it and trying to figure out what's going on with this thing. We're way behind.
Yeah, and that, I think that's become the main issue. I was telling my wife Jennifer a story. I was in Mellow Mushroom last night in Winston-Salem, waiting on an order, and this older gentleman was sitting beside me at the bar. I sat down beside him, and if you've ever been to Mellow Mushroom before, the TVs are all usually playing sports or whatever, and they had it on ESPN, and it was just these still shots of empty arenas. They're just showing empty arenas or whatever and talking over it. And we started talking about sports, and I was like, yeah, like half of what I do is involved with sports. I'm trying to figure out what's next, blah, blah, blah. And that conversation devolved into this conversation about coronavirus and how Trump is great and all this other stuff. So I won't go there in this show. You don't expect to have politics in the rundown. But point being, like, we were strangers, and we just started a conversation about sports or whatnot, and it not being there. And, like, this is, like, the busy time of the year for sports. Like, there's literally 4-5 major sports going on in March. The biggest of them all being March Madness, NCAA. People don't realize how much money there's involved. Like, March Madness pays for everything else, like the NCAA does. It makes more money than even college football. Like, it's
Greensboro alone lost out on like $18 million potentially.
Oh,
with
I
that.
bet. They've been planning for this for 5 years, ever since the last one they had. And so not only did Greensboro lose out on Thursday, Friday, Saturday of the ACC tournament, they were in the middle of a 3-week stretch where they had the ACC women's tournament last week, the men's tournament this week, and then first and second round of the NCAA tournament next week. And they probably were going to have Duke in their pod. If State made it, they probably were going to have State in their pod. Because the way they do the first and second rounds now, they try to have teams that are closer to home so they can attract bigger fans. And it would have just made complete sense to have Duke and NC State in that region. There was only like 5 or 6 ACC teams that were going to make it anyway.
Wow, you're talking about $30 million loss then.
Gone. And the NCAA, I get why they were reluctant to be like, we don't want to do it. But once they said no fans, I was like, that's not going to work. Like, as soon as it took them about a day to get past it. And honestly, I got to give a shout out to Coach K, because from what I've understood, they were still going to play the ACC tournament, but Duke and NC State didn't show up to the arena.
Exactly.
And it was Duke that was like, we're not playing, and we're shutting down all our athletics.
Yep.
And then that forced the ACC's hand, because they were, if you notice, they were the last Power 5 conference to be like.
Well, I think the Pac-12 came.
Oh, the Pac-12. Well, they would have been later in the day because it's on the West. But I mean, ACC they were getting ready to start a game. I think was it Florida State was about to play?
Florida State was about to play Clemson.
At 12:30, Florida State came out on the floor. They were warming up. The band was playing, and I remember seeing Jay Billis on ESPN. He was like, "Yeah, they're out here. They're warming up. There's no crowd. It just feels wrong." Like, he was like, "It just feels wrong that we're doing this." And they pulled him off the court, and then eventually called it because Duke said they weren't going to play. And then when they said they were shutting down all their athletics, Kansas did the same, and that forced the NCAA to be like, okay, well, we can't do March Madness because we don't have Duke, we don't have Kansas, we don't have the main draws for what we would be doing this for. Plus, we don't even have people in the stands anyway. So how enjoyable is this going to be? So they ate. I mean,
I saw they also considered playing the tournament with just 16 teams.
I saw that yesterday. I didn't get a chance to read how that would have worked. How do you think that would have worked to only pick 16 teams? Just like I guess you had to pick the champions.
Yeah, the Power 5 champions.
Yeah.
And at-large bids, the top teams that are remaining in the nation.
Yeah, and I'm sure they thought about that before, Duke and Kansas decided to withdraw. Once they withdraw, they couldn't even do the top 16 teams.
Right.
They would have been in that bunch.
They would have been in that group, yeah. So, for me, it started getting real when schools started like sending their kids off for like 2-3 week long spring breaks.
Spring breaks. That's what it's crazy.
Oh, like, hold on,
but
wait
no
a minute.
students are complaining.
No students are complaining.
I'll tell you what else got me when I saw Disneyland shut down.
Yeah.
I was like, what?
Wow, this is wild.
Happiest place. And speaking of Guilford County, High Point always has the furniture, that big furniture market.
Yeah, that got shut down
event,
too.
And that's millions. Guilford really got killed by this thing, man.
Yeah, like in a 48-hour period, Guilford County lost millions of dollars.
Man. Yeah,
so I feel really bad for them.
Schools are closing here too.
Now that's the big debate right now as to what they're going to do here in Guilford County and Forsyth County. And I was like, as soon as we have a case or two here, they'll probably follow suit of the rest of these other schools.
Charlotte's
down, Wake County, Durham. And they had more cases, and I thought I heard yesterday that they're up to 7 cases in Forsyth now because there was 2 yesterday.
Yeah,
this is just going to get bigger.
It's going to keep growing. Luckily, we're learning from other countries that are experienced it before us, though, and I think that we're doing we have a solid effort right now. Hopefully,
but are we though? That's kind of my question. Are we learning from those other countries because it seems like we're way behind where we should be.
I think it was
America,
downplayed. Yeah, I think it was downplayed here, but I think that we're taking some things from other countries, but I think it was definitely downplayed. People didn't know how serious it was, and people didn't care until sports started getting canceled and A-list celebrities started getting sick.
Rudy Gobert changed he became the face of this. I feel sort of bad for him.
Same.
Have you seen the video of him touching the microphones or whatever?
He's just,
and he was doing it not saying, I got it, I'm going to give it to you. He was saying, I'm not worried about getting it from y'all.
Exactly.
And I'm going to touch all the microphones, and
I just
he's
saw
making
a
big deal of it.
They said some kid got it from him, and when
he signed his autograph or something.
The kid didn't give it to him, though.
That's true.
We don't know.
He gave worn arm sleeves to a fan or somebody, too, during this stretch. And I don't blame the NBA at all for doing what they had to do because once you had already, all this stuff happened so quick. Like, normally it takes days for stuff like this to go down. Right. And these were like dominoes that happened like on the hour on Wednesday because the first thing that I thought was weird was when Golden State said they were going to play in front of no fans. And I was like, well, that's odd. Why would they do that out there? I don't remember San Francisco being like a ground zero spot. And then literally Wednesday night, I think it was right around the time I got home, so around about 7 or so, the Oklahoma City game against Utah, they were about to start or whatever, and all of a sudden, like, a doctor comes running out on the court and starts talking to the refs, like, all frantic, and then he starts talking to the coaches, and you see Chris Paul come over to ask Joe Ingles. He's like, what's wrong with Rudy or whatever, and then they just walk them all off the court, and then the announcer's like, nobody panic, but everybody get the hell out, pretty much. Like, don't be alarmed, just get out. Like, and even then, I bet you no one in that building was thinking coronavirus.
No.
They were probably thinking bomb threat, terrorist threat.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, you don't think immediately, oh, there's a killer virus trying to, kill us all or whatever. You're thinking, somebody's trying to blow up the building. I need to get up out of here. And to their defense, they cordially walked out. Everything was cool. But then we found out that Rudy Gobert had contracted coronavirus.
Gave it to Donovan Mitchell.
Maybe. Or Donovan Mitchell gave it to him. Like, we don't know.
That's true. That's true. You really don't know. Did you guys see Fred Hoiberg, though, the Nebraska head coach at the Big Ten tournament?
I did, man. And
he looked like he was going to, like, keel over.
He did collapse, though, didn't he?
He tested
negative. No, they took him back to the locker room. He didn't collapse.
No,
I'm glad he did test negative, though.
He tested negative for it.
He looked horrible.
Because at that point, I was like, if he's got it, they're going to shut the NCAA down, like,
the whole
today. And they waited. They waited until the next day. But at that point, I'm like, okay, the paranoia of all this is going to bubble over, and people are going to start freaking out. I do want to say before we take our first break, folks, please stop buying all the toilet paper. Like, I don't know why. I asked my wife last night, I was like, am I missing a symptom or something for this? That like, is there diarrhea involved with this? And she was like, I don't think so. And I'm like, why is everybody hoarding up on toilet paper? Like,
And why didn't you have any before?
truck beds of it. Like, why are we having to teach people how to wash their hands? Like, we taught this in elementary school, and it feels like we're having to reteach people how to wash your hands for how long, use warm water, use soap. and we're having to reteach people. It's like, if you just wash your hands, don't mess with your face, and just try to be clean. You're probably not going to get it. You know what
Exactly.
I mean? More than likely, you're probably not going to. And if you do, it's just, you'll be okay. Unless you're, really old or really young, odds are it's just going to be a severe flu. And to be honest with you, you heard it here first in the rundown, you probably already had it. You probably had it a month and a half ago when everybody was walking around with the flu and all the doctors were saying, "No, this ain't the flu. This is something else," but we don't know what it is.
Yeah.
It was probably that corona.
It could have been, yeah.
The Rona.
The Rona.
It
You
could have
probably
been
had
the
it.
corona. Well, look, I go to the doctor on Tuesday for my annual checkup, and I'm going to ask to be checked for the coronavirus because you guys know I had a trip over to China at
That's
the end
right.
of August,
He
September.
did.
Yeah.
I don't think I was in the infected area, though.
It's like, wait a minute. Hold on now. Oh, brother, I forgot all about that.
I don't think I was in the infected area, though, Brandon. I think it came out a little bit after that. But and I haven't been sick since then. But, hopefully I'm not a carrier either. But I was over there.
You did have like a cold at the
Did I?
beginning of the year. Remember?
Did I?
Yeah, you had. It wasn't overblown. I want to say, because we started rundown over again about middle of January, and I want to say it was sometime after you came back, but it was like a month or two after you came back. I remember you were coming into you were just like tired, but we chalked it up to being outside a lot,
Right?
Because you were outside a whole lot and it was real cold, like in the 20s back then. So we thought maybe it was that. Maybe you brought that corona back.
You never know, man. Look, I might
Tell
be
you,
the
man,
I
that
might
thing
be the
started in China,
might be the
man. I
original
don't
guy,
know.
man. I don't know.
You can actually listen to the rundown on Facebook Live on Sports Carolina Monthly's page or the Rundowns page, or you can go to bestsportstalkshow.com and actually interact with the show while we're on. I do believe we will be off Monday. I believe we will actually be live with a full panel Wednesday at Big Burger Spot in Kernersville. So our goal is to still give you some sort of sports content, and we're working on that right now. There's plenty of other things that we can discuss. And if you're a fan of the show, you're familiar with some of our segments, and one of them is Barbershop Talk, and we'll probably expand that out into more of a debate type of thing, and get people involved with it that are going to be missing out on being able to listen to sports radio, being able to watch ESPN, be able to, we should be in the middle of March Madness right now, and we're not going to be. So we're going to try to keep giving you content as much as possible. So let your friends know that we're out here, that we're still broadcasting live shows dealing with sports to get your fix in. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, Grant Hill's actually on the board of governors for the NCAA, and he discussed how it was the right thing to do to stop March Madness. We'll talk about that and what exactly should we be looking forward to here going forward. You're listening to The Rundown.
You're listening to The Rundown with Desmond Johnson.
Haviline Express Lube of Kernersville. Their service facility is independently owned and operated by Mac Allen, providing full-service repair and maintenance services. They use the latest diagnostic equipment to guarantee your vehicle is repaired or serviced properly and in a timely fashion. Mac and his team pride themselves on commitment to the local community and providing value-driven service in an inviting, friendly environment. Go see Mac at Haviline Express Lube of Kernersville for all of your automotive maintenance needs. Zesto Burgers and Ice Cream is a modern-day American diner serving burgers, sandwiches, wings, ribs, other quality food, and ice cream since 1945. Located only minutes from East Forsyth at 2600 New Walkertown Road. Every Monday, 35-cent boneless wings, and every Wednesday, 50-cent bone-in wings. 100% fresh, never frozen Angus beef burgers, fried fish, steak, shrimp, chicken platters, and more. Delivery now available through Grubhub, Takeout Central, and DoorDash. Zesto Burgers and Ice Cream, 2600 New Walkertown Road in Winston-Salem.
Should be played at high volume.
Ray's Body Shop and Wrecker Service has served Winston-Salem and surrounding areas for over 50 years. In addition to collision repair, Ray's also performs auto painting and towing. Using only the best quality products and materials, Ray's team of technicians is the best of the best. Family owned and operated, all of their work is guaranteed. When you find yourself in a bind, their 24-hour emergency towing and wrecker service is here to help. Call Ray's Body Shop and Wrecker Service today for a free estimate. 336-788-6174.
The specials never stop at Blue Naples Pizza, an Italian restaurant. Every day, you get a large 2-topping pizza for only $11.99. On Sunday, watch football and enjoy our large 1-topping pizza and 10 wings for only $17.99. Plus lunch specials every day of the week. Blue Naples Pizza and Italian Restaurant, 1519 Union Cross Road in Kernersville.
NetcastSports.com brings you live and on-demand sports from all over North Carolina. Available on every device, your phone, laptop, television, or tablet. No contracts, watch one game or every game without having to worry about greedy long-term subscription services. It's not magic, it's just giving people what they want. A way to watch sports anywhere without having to get locked in to another monthly payment. Netcast Sports is proud to be a partner with Sports Carolina Monthly and hoping to bring today's broadcast to you.
Back to the rundown with Desmond Johnson.
I'm deadly when I pull the pin out. I'm deadly when I pull the pin out.
Welcome back to the rundown. Des, Rod, Brandon in the house, live from Zesto's Burgers and Ice Cream, 2600 New Walkertown Road in Winston-Salem. Come check them out for sure. Definitely come in here and get some of these specials. They got a rib basket with fries and a drink for $8.99 that I've been staring at every single Saturday that we come in here.
Might have to let it fly on that cheesesteak today, too.
Yeah.
I know I was talking about it last time.
So definitely come over here and check them out for sure. And grab you some lunch. You know, get out here. It's a beautiful day. No reason to be shut inside if you don't have to be shut inside. So definitely come over here and experience some Zesto over here, New Walkertown Road in Winston-Salem. As you know, we're in the middle of the Corona apocalypse, or whatever you want to call it. I almost don't want to give it that kind of credit because I think part of it I was a media studies major at UNCG when I graduated in 2003. So for me, I have a special place in my heart for what's called pillars of the media industry, whether that's the New York Times, whether that's CNN, whether that's Yahoo, whatever it may be. Like people know that I'm very political online, and I do share a lot of articles, but I always kind of vet them before I share them, that they're coming from a source that I respect, that I was taught to respect in school. I don't just shoot stuff from Breitbart or from Occupy Democrats or you know, I don't just shoot whatever from blogs. I try to put things out there that are educational that people can kind of figure out what's what. And the one thing that's bothered me this week has been this idea that the media is overblowing the coronavirus situation. And me and Rob were talking about this before the show. I don't think it's so much that the media is overblowing it, because I think they're doing their job. And Brandon, you're part of the media. Like, I think they're just reporting what's there to report. That's what they're supposed to do.
Exactly.
The people that are blowing it out of proportion are social media. Social media and media are two different things. The media are people that get paid to bring you information that is going on around you in the world. Social media is your friends and friends of friends and people you've never met before.
Opinionated.
Trying to do the job of the media by giving you news they think is correct because it follows their own beliefs and structures. And that goes both ways, whether you're liberal, conservative, Democrat, Republican, whatever it may be. All of us kind of gravitate towards things that reflect what we already believed in the first place.
Yeah.
When we were younger, I know when I was younger, I was 42, there was only 3 or 4 news outlets, and they were local. And then your CBS News, Dan Rather, and NBC with Tom Brokaw, and ABC with Peter Jennings, but they were all reporting the same news. It wasn't like I'm an ABC fan or I'm a CBS fan. If you watched Andy Griffith at 5:30, it probably was still on CBS at 6, and you watched the news, and then you watched CBS News. That's just the way it was. So you didn't have to worry about where you were getting the content from. Now it's like you choose where you get your content from before you get the content based off of what you already believe. So like if you're a conservative, you probably watch Fox News because it's going to align with what you already believed when you walked in, and they can tailor their stories to what your belief structure already is. Same for MSNBC, same for CNN to a degree. I think CNN's more in the center than people want to give them credit for on both sides.
Yeah, I think out of all the outlets, the major outlets like that, CNN is definitely more in the middle, more so than MSNBC and Fox.
Right. Now, people like on the Fox side will say, no, they're not, and blah, blah, blah. And I've heard all kinds of things like it's a conspiracy and all this other stuff, this junk. And the more I think about it, it was like, it's not, the media isn't blowing this out of proportion. When you have people have come to me and said, well, this isn't as bad as H1N1 or swine flu.
Keep hearing that.
Yeah, and I'm like,
bird flu.
First of all, we're just at the beginning. Second of all, we don't know how bad it is because we haven't tested everybody. Like, we haven't had as many tests for this, so we don't know. There could have been people that have passed away from this or been sick.
That we didn't know
We
about.
didn't even know they had it. Yeah, so how can you say that some people, that this has been less than those? And then, to me, it's kind of morbid to even be like, well, this isn't that bad because, only 1,000 people have died and swine flu killed 60,000 people, and where was the outrage then and stuff? And I'm like, is that really the point?
Yeah.
I mean, like, we're not in the middle of that right now. We're in the middle of this right now and trying to get on top of it. And it feels like there's a portion of the country that's trying to almost try to make it a smaller deal than what it is.
Can't minimize this.
Right. Or they're coming down on those that are wanting to talk about it, to learn more about it, to share info about it by saying that they're spreading panic. And it's like, info is not panic. Like, info is info. You can either choose to accept the info or you could choose to ignore it. But to say that just to put the info out is creating panic, how weak are the listening or viewing public if just words can cause you to freak out and start to panic over something?
Yeah, and I mean, it's easy to do that. And I'll tell you, I was talking to an instructor over at Forsyth Tech on Thursday, and he showed me a media source online that said there was some testing going on concerning the coronavirus over in Germany. And during the testing, what they discovered was the coronavirus spreads 10,000 more times than the flu.
Way more contagious.
Yeah. So it's so much more contagious. Doesn't necessarily mean that I guess it's going to kill you or make you die, but it can spread, which means that every single person across the world, has a chance of obtaining this thing. That's just 10,000 more times than any flu. That's crazy.
And it irritates me because it's like, those that believe it's not a big deal, I'm like, okay, so you're saying you're willing to risk my life. Like, you're willing to not wash your hands, touch your face, touch on surfaces and stuff, and just be like, oh, it's not a big deal. That means you're willing to walk around with it, and it's not a big deal to you, but it's a big deal to me. It's a big deal to my children. It's a big deal to my parents that are both over the age of 60.
That's
like,
right.
I take offense to those that are just like, this ain't a big deal, and we don't really need to worry about it. And even from our president, because up until Wednesday, he was like, this is just going to go away. This is going to disappear. And I think that's fed into a lot of those same people thinking it's not a big deal. Because when you hear your president say it's not a big deal, you're inclined to agree with him and say it's not a big deal until he had to say it was a big deal. I thought it was just a huge switch to go from it's not a big deal to I'm declaring a national emergency yesterday. Like, it's like, what?
I think it was obvious that it was a big deal when all these restrictions came into play, when state government at that level started making exceptions.
State and local government started stepping in, and instead of waiting for the feds to do something, they started doing stuff on their own, and we saw a great deal of that. Really, the NBA kind of led the way on that. They were really the first ones to say, we're shutting everything down, because if one of our players has it, it's a wrap at that point. You were keeping the fans away to prevent a player from getting it, and if a player got it anyway, whatever you were doing to set up to stop that, it's been breached. Like,
exactly.
So you got to shut the whole thing down. The NCAA, I think, dodged a bullet, because if they had tried to pull this off and still do this anyway, I think the backlash from it in the end would have been so bad that I think it really could have severely hurt the NCAA as a whole, like as an institution. Grant Hill, who's known in these circles for some things, he is actually, I didn't realize he's on the NCAA Board of Governors, and he was actually on TNT talking about how shutting down March Madness was, in fact, the right thing to do.
I think as it relates to the NCAA, it was about doing the right thing. We had a number of medical advisors that have been on this for the last month, giving us advice, watching this coronavirus, and really making recommendations to the Board of Governors and ultimately to the staff, the executive team at the NCAA.
So, guys, thoughts on this? And we are going to talk a little NFL here after the segment is done. So it's not all coronavirus today. And we will get into some current events because there is still stuff going on. The NFL free agency is still going on.
Yeah.
Some people got cut yesterday. We'll talk about what the plans are for that. And actually, Rod was actually going to go to Las Vegas for the draft here in a couple of weeks, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's supposed to be during April 23rd through 25th.
So, yeah.
Just not sure if I'm going to make it, though.
Yeah, I think they said they were shutting it down to the public. I thought I saw. So we'll talk about that in the next segment, but I just wanted to kind of put a bow. Well, you can't really put a bow on this coronavirus conversation, but just in terms of this past week, for those of us that work in the sports world, what exactly do you think is going to happen next? And I'll start off with Brandon because you're on the TV side of things. Everything literally that I touch has been shut down. You guys know I do play-by-play for Netcast Sports. The East Coast Basketball League has been put on hold indefinitely, as far as I'm aware.
Man.
NASCAR is postponing their next 2 races, so that's on hold. We mentioned earlier in the show, Bowman Gray still appears to be planning to start April the 18th as scheduled. That has not changed, and you can keep up with that at sportscolumnmonthly.com. We'll let you know any changes to that schedule. Will be your home for coverage for Bowman Gray Racing. But as it stands right now, they're open. The NAL, Carolina Cobras, the Arena League football team in Greensboro, that season has been suspended. I got that info, I think, last night or today. So literally everything is shut down for the moment. What's next? What do you think is going to happen over the next 10 days in terms of the sporting world, in terms of those that report on it?
Yeah.
What do you think they're going to do to fill that void?
Well, I know from all the athletes are going to go home, hopefully spend time with their family. A lot of people are going to be playing a lot of video games. On the media side of things, you have to go find stories like you always do. More feature stories are going to be going on, more one-on-ones. You may get some esports coverage. I know people are making jokes about it, but seriously, millions of dollars isn't a joke. I mean, esports is one of the most rapidly climbing sports in sports. So I think definitely you'll look at that. The English Premier League is still waiting to make their statement, so you might get some soccer in there. And then around here locally, Bowman Gray, but mostly feature stories, especially in the individual sports like tennis, boxing, stuff like that, how they're prepping, and maybe even get some seniors on there, get their stories, give them a chance to showcase, if they didn't get their senior night or their proper send-off, give them a chance to showcase themselves and get a proper send-off.
I saw NASCAR is playing with the idea of doing iRacing with some of the drivers, which is basically internet racing. They would put actual stock car drivers in individual video game cars and broadcast it out as if it's an actual race. Now, and part of me is like, well, that'll satisfy some people. The other part of me is like, damn, is that where we are now? Like, where we're gonna have to watch these drivers simulate driving to get our fix in terms of like sports or whatnot? Because I can go to YouTube and watch that right now. Like 2 kids.
I just go watch
basement.
Daytona from last year.
Yeah, I mean, I can do that right now.
Well, as of right now, there's still a UFC fight on the cards. It's a lightweight main event. I think it's Kevin Lee versus, is it Charles Oliveira?
Isn't it in Brazil or something like that?
Yeah. It's down in Brazil, so it's supposed to be a 6 p.m. start. So besides that, I think, people aren't going to have much to do. I mean, the only thing people can probably really do if they're scared and they're going to be in the house is they're probably going to start the next generation of baby boomers, man.
That's going to be some babies named Corona in about 9 months.
Man, it's going to – I mean, there's going to be nothing else to do but, begin new families and all kinds of stuff. So,
baby, I'm coming home for lunch in about an hour.
Yeah,
so,
exactly. So, there's going to be there's a lot of opportunity to spend quality time with your loved ones now that sports is kind of sat to the side. But, other than that, we've like Brandon said, you got this internet games going on that people are going to be into. You got your home games. Maybe there'll be some cornhole or something. I don't know, man.
Got to share them bags, though. They were talking about that the other day.
The Ocho. Do y'all remember the Ocho on ESPN?
Dodgeball.
They did, when was this? It was during summer, I think, for like a full day. It was like the Ocho day on ESPN, and they were showing like lawnmower racing and like all these weird sports. But I was producing the drive at the time, and we got sucked into it. We were watching it like rooting on these lawnmower races. Shout out to my man Aaron Gabriel, because we were in the studio just like watching this nonsense, and we could not stop watching it. Like, no matter what was going on, we were trying to see if that John Deere was going to break the record around the curve or whatever. And it was wild. And I could see them putting stuff like that back on. But even that kind of stuff, it still had crowds. It still had fans. You
Yeah.
can't.
Yeah,
I mean,
dude.
you know what I mean. You still can't do that either.
Isn't there
So-
like some kind of axe throwing competition?
Oh, yeah.
and they're
Axe
like
throwing,
and they're-
poker.
the chainsaw. You know the
Oh,
ch-
yeah,
the
yeah.
chainsaw.
Chopping wood, cutting
yeah.
There was
wood.
one where it was like they were tossing themselves downstairs or something, like who could get down the stairs at a faster time. Like, it was wild, man.
Is
Like,
it
was
time for my man Joey Jaws to come out? Like,
Hey.
is he about to just straight?
He'd have to do it in a room with no fans.
Yeah, you
I
can't
mean,
simulate emotion and,
see,
and celebration, man.
that's the thing for me. I'm like, okay, no one knows when everything's coming back. We're hoping maybe 30 days. What the NBA said, they're looking at 30 days, and then they'll review it again. Luckily, this didn't happen during the NFL season because you would have seen probably riots in the streets if like the NFL got took down like week 2 or something like that.
I mean, like you said, it could have been happening and started during NFL. We don't know.
And I just saw online here, the Charlotte Observer is reporting the state's confirmed at least 23 coronavirus cases in North Carolina now. That just broke an hour ago. That number has increased by 8 since Friday, which was yesterday. So this idea that you can be shielded from it, and unless you never come out of your house and you wear a hazmat suit everywhere you go, you're probably around somebody that's had it or someone who's been around it themselves. Just odds are. Just
I was
what we
saying, it feels like the next top selling thing that we're gonna see, man, is those Bubble Boy suits. I'm telling you, people are gonna be walking around in them suits, bouncing off. Yeah, man, I'm telling you, the big size medicine balls are gonna be selling, bro. Telling you.
And it's crazy too. Another thing I'm seeing, social media is a very powerful tool. Y'all know I teach it. I do a lot of stuff with it. A lot of people know me through it. There's plenty of times where people come up to me and say, hey, I know you, blah, blah, blah. And I'll walk off from the conversation. I'm like, I have no idea who that was. And they knew me from Facebook or whatever. What I'm seeing, and I'm kind of remembering, was that back in January, there was a lot of people getting the flu. Like, I don't know if y'all remember, but there was a lot of people getting the flu to the point where the school system was sending home letters saying, if your kid is sick, please leave him at home. Don't bring him to school.
That's right.
Because we had a couple of days where my youngest, Brooklyn, we just kept her home because she was running a slight fever and she just didn't feel good. It went away, and then we sent her back. But that was just 2 months ago, where it felt like everybody was getting sick with some kind of flu-like type thing, but the doctors were saying it wasn't the flu. They didn't know what it was. I want to know, did a wave of this already come through here and we just weren't aware of it because we weren't testing for it or didn't have the proper test for it? So it could be Rudy Gobert is going to end up being the face of this for a while in the sports world, but I seriously doubt he's the only one or the first one that had it. He probably contracted it from playing against another player from another team.
Yeah, who they haven't,
they
don't even realize they have it.
They haven't even found out yet. So the NBA had to shut it down. They need to test every player and make sure they get everybody healthy. Same for really any of these sports that are in contact with fans or large crowds and groups over the past couple of months. They probably all need to be tested. Now, I did see yesterday there was a big talk about how is it that the Utah Jazz were able to test 58 players and personnel, but there's places that only have Guilford County had 3 tests available as of a day or two ago. So how does that work in terms of who gets a test and who doesn't get a test? And
well, I think those major cities would definitely have the tests and the resources to be able to take the test.
They were in Oklahoma City when they were getting tested.
I mean, that would be a major
millionaire
city,
owner.
yeah.
And so, I mean, I'm sure if they got the money, they can figure out how to get 50-plus tests to get tested. Plus, I think it would take priority because they're kind of carriers. They're going from city to city on airplanes and restaurants and hotels. I actually saw that John Forsberg, the announcer for the Carolina Hurricanes, I think it said he did test positive for coronavirus because he stayed in the hotel room that Rudy Gobert had stayed in a night or two before.
Oh, man.
And wherever they were, and he ended up staying in the same hotel room, got tested. I need to confirm that, but I know he got tested for coronavirus because of it.
And there's an American airline pilot who tested positive over in Dallas, Texas area.
Been a couple preachers too, man.
And my whole point for all of this is that we've all probably been around it. I've probably been around it once or twice a day for the past 3 months, 4 months. But I feel fine. I wash my hands way more than I normally do. I mean, you can see how ashy my hands are right now. My hands are crusty.
I was going to let you
now.
ride, but you said it.
I've been out here trying to start fires with charcoal briquettes or something. I didn't put any lotion on after I washed them. But I'm constantly washing my hands because I'm constantly touching stuff. This spreads on hard surfaces. or just through contact with somebody with it. It's not airborne, so it's not like something you can go on a Harris Teeter and walk out and have it because somebody was over on the other side of the store with it. You usually have to have some kind of physical contact with somebody to do it. So just be safe. Just be clean, be safe. And as for sports, we'll try to keep giving you listenable content because no one else is going to be able to. I mean, there's not really – I haven't seen any plans for anybody in terms of what the plan is going forward.
We're keeping you locked in. If it comes down to it, man, I can start doing album reviews. And
we'll just start breaking down what happened on The Masked Singer last week. And
oh, God, speaking of Sarah Palin.
Yo, that's what kicked off the whole Wednesday. I've had a couple people message me like, yo, what is happening in 2020? And like that, because it went from that to the Trump press conference 2 seconds later. So you went from Sarah Palin doing Baby Got Back on stage after being revealed, and then it went straight to Trump's press conference at the Oval Office, like immediately following. And I'm like, this is the weirdest Wednesday night, I swear. Like
she was that close to the Oval Office.
It's amazing. It's amazing to me that we even got to that point. But
and we're here at this point.
Now we're here at this point. I do want to touch on a little bit of sports before we get out of here. This isn't a supersized rundown of the day. We are off the air at 1. But I do want to talk a little NFL. Free agency is still going on. We've had some movement, even though with all this craziness going on around us, we have had some movement in the NFL in terms of players that have been let go and some action in terms of some stuff that's going on. So we'll get you caught up on everything that we know NFL-wise. No one has been signed yet because the free agency period has not opened, but I think they were talking about moving it back a little bit.
It is being considered.
Yeah, so we'll talk about that, and we'll talk about some people that have been let go as well and see what's going on with your team next on The Rundown.
You're listening to The Rundown with Desmond Johnson.
NetcastSports.com brings you live and on-demand sports from all over North Carolina. Available on every device, your phone, laptop, television, or tablet. No contracts, watch one game or every game without having to worry about greedy long-term subscription services. It's not magic, it's just giving people what they want. A way to watch sports anywhere without having to get locked in to another monthly payment. Netcast Sports is proud to be a partner with Sports Carolina Monthly and helping to bring today's broadcast to you.
This should be played at high volume.
Ray's Body Shop and Wrecker Service has served Winston-Salem and surrounding areas for over 50 years. In addition to collision repair, Ray's also performs auto painting and towing. Using only the best quality products and materials, Ray's team of technicians is the best of the best. Family owned and operated, all of their work is guaranteed. When you find yourself in a bind, their 24-hour emergency towing and wrecker service is here to help. Call Ray's Body Shop and Wrecker Service today for a free estimate. 336-788-6174.
The specials never stop at Blue Naples Pizza, an Italian restaurant. Every day you get a large 2-topping pizza for only $11.99. On Sunday, watch football and enjoy our large 1-topping pizza and 10 wings for only $17.99. Plus lunch specials every day of the week. Blue Naples Pizza, an Italian restaurant. 1519 Union Cross Road in Kernersville.
Haviline Express Lube of Kernersville. Their service facility is independently owned and operated by Mac Allen, providing full-service repair and maintenance services. They use the latest diagnostic equipment to guarantee your vehicle is repaired or serviced properly and in a timely fashion. Mac and his team pride themselves on commitment to the local community and providing value-driven service in an inviting, friendly environment. Go see Mac at Haviline Express Lube of Kernersville for all of your automotive maintenance needs.
Zesto Burgers and Ice Cream is a modern-day American diner serving burgers, sandwiches, wings, ribs, other quality food, and ice cream since 1945. Located only minutes from East Forsyth at 2600 New Walkertown Road. Every Monday, 35-cent boneless wings, and every Wednesday, 50-cent bone-in wings. 100% fresh, never frozen Angus beef burgers, fried fish, steak, shrimp, chicken platters, and more. Delivery now available through Grubhub, Takeout Central, and DoorDash. Zesto Burgers and Ice Cream, 2600 New Walkertown Road in Winston-Salem.
Back to the Rundown with Desmond Johnson.
Welcome back to the rundown. Desmond Johnson, Brandon Blakeney, Rod Funderburk in the house live at Zesto's Burgers and Ice Cream, 2600 New Walkertown Road in Winston-Salem. Come check them out. They got lunch specials on deck all day. Oh, well, not all day, but all afternoon Saturday here. Like I said, they got ribs, they got steak sandwiches, hot dogs, burgers, wings, you name it, everything you need over here. Come through and check them out. That's Zesto's Burgers and Ice Cream on 2600 New Walkertown Road in Winston-Salem. We will be off Monday for the rundown, but we will be back with a live show Wednesday at 12 noon at Big Burger Spot in Kernersville. So definitely check us out on Wednesday, and we'll definitely give you some sports talk to keep you entertained, because I